So we have some updates on the Rolex 1016 fake. I have here, this is that automatic works, which is missing a jewel right there. This is a 3135 clone. Originally, I was going to use this movement for spares, but I looked online and it was actually possible. And so I have acquired a replacement jewel. So that jewel is theoretically supposed to fit in right there where there is no jewel. And I also acquired a jeweling tool. So I'm gonna try and install, for the very first time, I'm gonna try and install a jewel into a movement that is missing the jewel with a tool I've never used before. Let's see how it goes.
Now, I want to preface this with the fact that I don't recommend this for most people. The clone 3135 movement, of course, is a clone of a Rolex movement, and it's technically illegal. It infringes on their intellectual property. There you can see is where that jewel is missing. That in the factory in China, they just either they didn't install it or it was missing. There is the jewel. I did not believe it would be possible to order a jewel for this movement, but it turns out that they are so popular that they even sell the spare parts. That said, it was kind of cost prohibitive. The jewel itself was $30, and to purchase an entire new movement from the factory that makes these is about $100. So if you have 2 or 3 broken parts or worn parts, it's just cheaper to purchase a new 3135 clone. Now, I could have put in a Seiko, a TMI movement, but I didn't know exactly what would fit in this case. This watch came to me as a fake Rolex, and so I wanted to use as many of the existing parts as I could without it continuing to be a counterfeit piece. So here I am removing this bridge that holds the automatic winding works together. Once that bridge is removed, you slot a little screwdriver in there, and it all just comes apart. You can see the reversing wheels. I don't actually know what the wheel on top of that brass wheel is called because I'm very new to all of this. But there you can see that jewel. I couldn't quite figure out 100% certainty which way it went in, so I just decided to guess. Here I am using, now I also purchased what I will recommend highly. Not to buy one of these movements from AliExpress, but the jeweling tool. This is a knockoff of a Horia tool, which costs about $1,500 for this and those anvils and pusher pins. From AliExpress, this was about $100. Now, I will also say I purchased 2 of these and I sold one on eBay because I got a knockoff of the knockoff. This is the better version. It is a much more one-to-one clone of the Horia jeweling tool. The one I received prior to this was similar but different and not as good. And you can see here, I'm actually going to have to pause the audio because I want you to experience the true watchmaking ASMR that is the jewel just going into place. Here it is. That little shunk made it all worth it. For the parts, the tool, it was about $150 to get the jeweling tool, the pushers, the jewel, and install it. The movement would have been $100, but now I have the jeweling tool, so I can do this again. I don't know. It was a fun experience to do, and I hope you're learning as I am. Here I am taking that bridge and reinstalling it onto that automatic winding works. I fiddle with it a little bit. It all falls apart, but luckily it's a simple enough component. There's only 5 or 6 moving parts here. It was easy enough to just piece back together. And here I am just getting those reversing gears back in. I still don't know what this gear is called. If you know the gear, put it in the comments. And then that bridge will come right back on top. I fumble with the screws afterwards, but all in all, what can you say? Still unclear really how this left quality control with the jewel completely missing, because I've not taken the entire movement apart, but the jewel just wasn't there. I guess it may have fallen out at some point when whoever assembled the watch originally assembled it. Maybe it came from China without the jewel. It's really hard to say, but it's one of the reasons why I don't recommend these parts. They're kind of fascinating. It's magnificent that a Chinese company can reproduce something that, if you wanted to buy this from Rolex, $4,000, they sell them on eBay for. So it's, you get what you pay for, I guess. I did end up putting this on a time graph. I didn't record that. It does keep fantastic time, just about what a Rolex would keep. But again, the parts availability, it's coming directly from China. I don't know. And that's not to besmirch China. Most of the things we own are made in China. And there are even some nicer watches that are made in China. So, I don't know. Here I fumble. Oop, there it goes. Yeah. That was a pain in the ass to get the automatic winding works back onto the main movement. Here I fumble with the screws for a few moments, and once it's all back together, I'll treat you to a little bit more ASMR, and you'll get to hear the movement winding for the first time now with all of the jewels it was supposed to have. Before we get to that ASMR, I also want to preface, this video is not sponsored, but I do have a little bit of a partnership with a watch modification company that I'll talk about after you guys get to hear the winding. So let's take a listen. You got to hear the winding and some of my breath. But this video is a partnership with Namoki Mods. I told them about what I was doing, and I asked them to send me some dials, and they did. This is a beautiful black mother of pearl, beautiful dial, very minimalist. I love it's just so iridescent and cool. And I had asked for this dial or what I'm going to show and what I am going to end up putting into the watch. This is the code. They have a 1016 style dial with their logo. So this is no longer going to be a fake Rolex. It will be a homage to the 1016. And that will be the next installment here, as you will see the watch put together and no longer illegal. So stay tuned for that.